guess who's back? 93 degrees now, 216. I'm on my way for some food. You all? It's been a morning. It's been a morning. For me, anyway. Not for anybody else. Apparently. But, yeah. Remember the other night I was talking about personality disorder? Well, here's my little follow-up to it today. I looked up the meaning of it right now, and it seems a little off for me. It does, because there are some things in there that I don't resonate with, like wanting to take my own life, eating habits, like not wanting to eat, like loss of appetite, stuff like that. Like, I wish I had that. And I'm on my way to get food, by the way, so obviously it's not affecting me that way. But, you know, it also mentions instability of friendships and stuff like that. And it has a lot to do with, you know, in your past with childhood abuse. It could also be hereditary, what have you. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I want to say. And that is that, you know, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with me. I do have my issues, but I feel like I'm in a place in my life where I cannot deal with somebody else's issues, you know? And like that friend at church this morning, it really disappointed me and her, because we have already had this conversation and about the seating arrangement, right? Where we're going to sit, who's going to sit where, whatever. And when her friend got there, and let me back up for a moment. She mentioned, you know, she had asked me about it before, and I've mentioned this before, where she always sits 1 seat, 2 seats, 3 seats away from me, depending on whatever mood she's in, right? I kind of learned to just tolerate it and not really let it bother me, right? Well, I sat 1 seat away from her when I got there, because as I mentioned, I got there a couple of minutes late, like 4 minutes late. And when her other friend got there, the one that was trying to rearrange us a couple of weeks ago, she sat right in between us. And my friend had no problem with her sitting right next to her. She didn't move a seat away, let alone 2 or 3 seats away. You know, and that kind of made me like, huh. And I don't think that has anything to do with borderline personality disorder. I think that's more of I see a pattern going on here, and the pattern's not with me, it's with you, type of thing. Okay? So here's the thing that's really bugging me right now, is that she didn't even text me. She hasn't not texted me afterwards to say, hey, are you okay? I'm sorry about that. You know, I'm sorry that my friend wanted to, you know, sit us somewhere else again. You know, I know you said you really are comfortable back there. Just wanting to know that we're good. You know, something to that effect. But no text whatsoever. So I finally texted her a little while ago. She still hasn't answered it. She'll probably say, oh, I never got it, because that's her way of avoiding a serious conversation. I've noticed that about her as well. So clearly she has her own issues, right? And I'm not here to judge somebody else and their issues. She apparently has her own issues. Work them out, girlfriend. You know, work them out. But don't bring them on to me. That's all I'm saying. Okay? When I got home, after I finished recording the last video about Christian's emotions, I guess I could name this Christian Emotions Part 2. And then hashtag borderline personality disorders, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, when I got home, right as I drove up, there was my neighbor again. You know, that one neighbor. We have been getting along all right. You know, it's been 2 weeks. We're getting along all right, I guess. You know, and Oh, I didn't upload that video from last night. I gotta upload that video to tell you all what happened. Anyway, so she gets there this morning, we're talking, and then she's like, oh, can you hold him? Meaning the dog. I'm gonna go get my coffee real quick and I'll be right back. And I'm like, I wasn't really like comfortable with that. I was kind of reluctant because I know how she is already. Okay? But I was just like, well, I guess it'll be all right. You know, she's okay, comfortable with me, you know, watching her dog while she goes and gets her coffee. Well, she took a while with that coffee. I guess maybe she had to go to the bathroom and then get her coffee and then come over. I don't know. So me and the dog are there. I give him a treat. The same treats that I gave him yesterday. Nothing different. Nothing altered. Nothing added. Same damn treat from the bag. I noticed that he really didn't want it. And so I was like, oh, you're not hungry this morning. You know, I said, okay. I said, I guess mommy fed you, you know. And so I put the treats, you know, I left them on the counter just in case he wanted one later on. So she finally gets there. We're sitting at the table. We're talking again, and, you know, drinking our coffees. And I found it kind of weird that she went to go get her own coffee because yesterday she had my coffee too. I guess that made her sick as well. Because, you know, once she started leaving, all of a sudden I get a text from her and she's like, what did you give my dog? And those were her exact words. What did you give my dog? He seemed to want to hack as soon as we got back. And I was like, what? I said, I gave him a treat. I said, the same treat that I gave him yesterday when you were here. The same treat. And then I said, but I did notice that he didn't really want it. So I said, okay. So I took him away. You know, I took the treats away. Like, he didn't want it. I wasn't going to force feed him. And then she says, oh, well, it's just that he's very sensitive and this and this and that. And look, I get where she's coming from afterwards, but it was the first initial sentence, the first initial text. What did you give to my dog? And I know you all are probably like, you're reading too much into it. You know, like maybe she was just worried about her dog. I get it, you know, but it was the way that it was framed, if that makes any sense. The way that the question was framed, it kind of looked more of an accusation than a question. So I was like, you're kidding me. Like, wow, like, is there something that I did right today or no? Am I not doing anything right? You know, you all, this is the second time this happens to me. I passed the freaking restaurant. It was further back. It was to the left, not to the right. That's what I get for talking. Oh, no. I did go right. Okay. This is the right way. Okay. So, let me turn. I did come the right way. I don't know, you all. My head is just like spinning already. I'm hungry. I'm shaking. All I ate was a bagel with cream cheese this morning. And my son's like, how do you survive on just a bagel and cream cheese? I said, I don't. I'm like shaking right now. But anyhow, yeah, so like I was saying about the way that I was asked about this. And I'm like, you know what? This is why I don't have any friends. I can honestly say this is why I don't have any friends. Because with friends like that, why do you want them around? You know, like that saying, with friends like that, who needs enemies? Exactly. Like, why do I want friends, company, if I'm going to be pushed aside or accused of something, you know, that I'm not in the mood for, you know, like, I know I didn't do anything wrong, and just because they have their own little issues going on in their own little minds, you know, I'm gonna have to like put up with that. Hold on, you all. Okay. put the order in case y'all are wondering. I'm getting barbecues. I was gonna get, cause I have a coupon. I was gonna get Golden Chick, but I'm like, I'm just way too hungry and I want meat. I feel like I haven't had any protein, and yeah, I want protein. So, as I was saying again, it's like, this really interrupts my peace, you know? Yeah, I do get lonely at times in my apartment. My son is in his room most of the time, talking to people, playing games, and all this and that, you know? And I'm just in the living room, and the husband calls every now and then, you know, or I'll call him, and that's the extent of my outside world. But I'm at peace. I can honestly say, oh, I'm at peace. Nobody's moving me out of my seat of the couch. They're not telling me, hey, why don't you go sit on that other couch instead and on the other side, because I just don't like it right here, you know? Nobody's telling me that. Nobody's accusing me of giving anything to their animal that's going to make them sick. You know? And this girl, like I said, this neighbor, it's not just with me, you all. Okay? It is with everybody and everything. I've mentioned this before. She'll have an issue even with the air outside. You know? It's blowing too hard. It's not blowing hard enough. She's hot. She's cold. Whatever. You know, she's just always agitated, irritated. There's something going on with her. And that's not my business. I don't care. I don't care to get to the root of the problem. You know, that's between her and God to figure out. However, stop projecting that on me. Stop getting me involved. I'm not asking to get involved in your life. You came into mine. Hang on again. Okay, hopefully I'm going to finish already. I got the food already. That was really quick. That was rather quick. Anyhow, so yeah, like, you know, like I said, that's between them and God. Whatever issues they have, they need to work that out. They need to not bring that mess into somebody else's lives. They really do. Like, I'm saying this with love. Like, if you're dealing with something, I mean, don't bring it into somebody else, you know, especially when you know that they're going through their own thing. They've already talked to you about what they go through a little bit, more or less, or they shouldn't even have to go that far. You should just understand that, hey, I know my place. I know where I'm at with my mental health. I shouldn't go and just disrupt somebody else's life with my issues, you know? It's really that simple. It really is. And I also feel that I shouldn't have to be going to counseling to be diagnosed with all these terms about what's wrong with me, when sometimes it's not even just me. It really is other people in the world, but yet I need to take some of the blame for it, I guess. You know, because, well, it can't be just them. It's got to be you too, type of deal, you know? And that's also wrong. That is also wrong. And that's something that I'm going to bring up to my counselor. Because, again, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, you know, by any means. But what I am saying is I know my place. I know what I've been through. I know what I have to deal with. And I usually just step back and step away from things. You know, I feel like that's the mature thing you can do. That is the most considerate, mature thing you can do, is just stay away, you know, and figure out things and grow and heal yourself. Not yourself as in by yourself, but I mean, get healthy physically and mentally, emotionally, all before you start to want to introduce other people into your life. But like I said, sometimes people will just intrude. They have nothing better to do, you know, and they have nowhere else to intrude. And they really don't. Like this neighbor, I hate to keep using her as an example, but she says she was having issues with her mom. She was texting her mom. Her mom wasn't answering her. So apparently her mom was upset with her. So she probably felt like, you know what, let me intrude on this neighbor. Let me intrude on Moon. Let me go see what she's doing, and then let me accuse her of something, anything, you know? And no, you don't do things like that. Go fix things with your mother. Go be in a better place before you decide to make friends with anybody, you know? There's a thing about being polite, being neighborly, being that coworker that you're friendly with everyone. But it's like everybody always says, your coworkers are not your friends. Your coworkers are not your friends. They are co-workers. Same thing with neighbors. You know, you can be neighborly, but your neighbors are not your friends. They're neighbors. You know, you can do favors for each other, like, hey, can you watch my house while I'm gone? You know, or can you get my mail? You know, and if you agree to that, great. But if you don't want to agree to it, you can say like, no, sorry, I'm kind of busy myself. You know, but a friend nowadays, it comes with a lot of qualifications, and I feel almost recommendations. You know, it really does. It's gotten to that point, because I noticed that I'm not the only person struggling with friendships. There are a lot of people that struggle with friendships. There are a lot of people that are alone in the world that don't have any friends for this very reason. It rattles their peace, you know, and it makes you think like, wow, is there something really, really wrong with me here? Am I just not a very good person? You know, and here I'm thinking I'm okay. No, you are okay. You're okay. And if you're seeking help, you're even better than what you think you are. But honestly, it's these other people that need to get it together. They really do. And it's not up to you to fix them. There's no way. People that are like that have been like that for a very, very, very long time. And a lot of people have stayed away from them for that reason as well. And there's just, you cannot fix them. You can't. You can't. I can't, stress that enough. You cannot fix them. You know, they need to get actual help. Anyhow, I just wanted to do a part 2 on that, because like I said, all of this has happened this morning, since 9 o'clock this morning. 9 o'clock, you all? It's only 2:38, and look at everything that I've been through today. And it's uncalled for. There's no reason for it. I should be enjoying my Sunday like everybody else. Enjoying the air, the fresh air, a walk, the birds. And here I am, my stomach is hurting also because of this. And it shouldn't. But anyway, I hope that you all are having a better, fabulous Sunday than me. I know mine will get better after I eat. I'll feel a little bit better because I won't be shaking anymore. But, yeah, just be a friend or don't be that friend. That's all I gotta say.